Welcome back, pedal nerds. More TC goodness. We're talking about the tailspin, which is a vibrato, which means it's a thing that bends the pitch of your guitar in a sine wave-like fashion as deep as the deep knob tells you to bend the pitch at the speed that the rate knob tells you to. It's what... I have to admit, I don't quite get vibrato because it makes the note less on pitch and therefore less musically usable if you go into more drastic settings. Also, the speed in French, might not gel with your music because it's almost impossible to get it in sync with just a speed knob. So subtle settings are chorusy, yes. More severe settings, crazy. But just because I can't imagine what to do with it doesn't mean that you're not a big fan of the vibrato. So I'm going to try to show it to you from a novice vibrato kind of guy. If you really know how to use vibrato, please excuse my ignorance. So the TC pedals from this, which I call the tank series, because they're built like tanks, have the following features. I'm going to show you on the Afterglow because the tailspin is on the table. We have a very solid chassis. Originally, these pedals were sold as Behringer pedals, and then they were plastic and not, the build quality wasn't great, so TC upgraded them to a much higher build quality. There's really nothing to be desired at the quality of these pedals. We have a U-shaped metal chassis housed in another U-shaped, there's you and there's you and me, and little screws at the sides completely recessed. Big, sturdy, solid knobs on all the pedals. There's no give, there's no jiggle, no nothing. We have a non-click switch, so it's not click, click, click. That's what it does. The pedals engage on foot up, meaning you push down and nothing happens, and when you let go, then the pedal engages. Rubber feet, which are very thin, which means you can get Velcro at the bottom and probably can take it off again and sell the pedal or whatever. So that's nice, you don't have to take them off, and it probably still works. We have top-mounted ins and outs and a top-mounted 9-volt input, which is mounted on the PCB, but it feels very solid, and even much more expensive pedals like Walrus or whatever, they had PCB-mounted 9-volt inputs. Well, it says 100 milliamps on this. We know that that's not true. It's a suggestion to use it with a 100 milliamp output, I think. This is how it's meant to be. Use it with a 100 milliamp output on your power supply. But what if you want to daisy chain it and put more pedals on that 100 milliamp output? We're gonna see what happens here, because I think they all take quite less than that. Quite a bit less than that. Some of them tell you on the website, and this says 11 milliamps. So we're away from 100 milliamps. You can actually daisy chain 4 or 5 of these pedals on a 100 milliamp output without a problem, depending on what pedals they are. If you get noise, play around with the order, maybe play around with taking one at a time out, but you can definitely daisy chain a few of these, which is cool. You can also daisy chain them like this. You can smack them together on your pedal board, and they are very close to each other, but you can still operate them independently because of the size. The foot switches are quite nicely spaced. Let's look at the difference in size. We know these classic TC tone print pedals, all digital. What we're talking about here is analog. But you can see the size difference. The new ones are higher, they are wider, and they are fatter. They're thicker. So quite a bit more pedal to put on your board. Quite a bit more weight to lug around, and quite a bit more space to sacrifice on your board. Pedal board space is money, people. Okay, so something to consider. Love the color of the tailspin. Love the font. This is all way cool. And let's listen to it. The setup, we're going into the Joyo Dual Clones on a doppelganger setting, which is a nice clean sound with a tiny bit of fizzle if I dig in it a little bit. This guitar is going through the Mad Professor 1 pedal if we want to get some modded plexi sound with a little bit of reverb in it. And that's going into the tailspin, into the Joyo Dual Clones up there, which is then going into a Torpedo Studio with right now 2 212 caps. on a vintage setting. This guitar is just arrived today. It's my third prototype of my Harley Benton signature guitar, which is a kind of a cool guitar. It has a mahogany body. What's it called? Purple heart, which is kind of rosewood, neck and fretboard. Look at this. This is so cool. This is my dog's paw that we put on the back. There's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy logo in the 12th fret. We have a P90 in the front, humbucker in the back, and humbucker can be switched in many ways, which you don't have to think about. This, just like this, with all these little trimmings, by the way, locking tuners. But the thing with in exactly these colors with the purple and the dog paw and all this will be a limited edition that's gonna come out very soon, so stay tuned. There's our clean sound. Might already be a little bit severe, so let's take the depth down. And that is very nice. That's a chorusy kind of, what am I gonna call that? It's a chorus substitute. It's very subtle and just gives you a sound a little bit movement. Now we have a little, but it's still not distracting from what you're actually doing. It's a little bit of a, I don't know, chorusy, tremolo kind of thing. It's actually very nice. Maybe too much now. What just happened? Oh, the string got caught. Something beautifully sparkly about this. I don't know what it is. There's no reverb, no delay on it, which of course, with some of that, it would be really pretty. Actually, I can think of situations where that might be musically useful. Very nice. G with A. Very neat. Let's try this with, let's see what it can do with some distortion. Humbucker, Mad Professor 1, and no tailspin. That just adds a tiny bit of movement, but not in any way distracting or bad. So, my 2 cents. Hey, I might have been... I don't think I've been converted. I might still want to go to a chorus for my clean sounds. But, I don't know, it's... if you want some movement in your chords, if you want some movement in your lead sound, if you want a little bit of something in there that's not a chorus, not a phaser, this is the other kind of flavor. And, I think this is easy to dial in. It's very straightforward, and frankly, I can't think of another pedal in this price range that will do what it does. I mean, of course there are vibrato choruses there, switchable ones. I can think of the Julia from Walrus Audio, which is quite a bit of expensive. There's the Diamond chorus vibrato, the Diamond vibrato, clocks in at over 300, I think. There are alternatives, but I don't think there are alternatives in this price range at that build quality, with a company behind it like TC, where you know you have service. If something happens with your pedal, you don't have to ship it back to some Chinese wholesaler, which probably it's never going to happen. You know it's a real company with real support, real distribution, real stores, all that stuff. And for the price, there's absolutely nothing negative that I can say about the Tailspin. If you're in the market for vibrato, get it. Links are below my video to all the pedals if you want to check them out. There's also a link to my Patreon account if you want to do that, if you want to support my channel, that would be great. And I'm out. I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. See ya.